welcome to Book Club Preview. I'm Michael, and today we're looking at The Body in the Library by Agatha Christie, part of the Miss Marple series. This is actually, I think, book 2 in the Miss Marple series. Well, chapter 1, chapter 2. It starts off with the missus of the house, Bantry, I believe. She's sleeping, she's dreaming. The man of the house, Mr. Bantry, and I think he might be like a colonel or something. He's sleeping and he's dreaming, and they're both dreaming beautifully. And imagine you know this, right? You're sleeping in bed, and you know it's almost time to wake up for school, and you can feel, oh, my mom's gonna be walking down the hall soon. She's going to be opening my door soon. Like, you can imagine this while you're sleeping. That's what Mrs. Bantry is thinking. But as she's sleeping, the sounds she's hearing are different than normal. And eventually a servant comes in. Oh, Mrs., there's a body in the room. She's crying, and she leaves. And Mrs. Bantry's like, she thinks it's a dream. She's kind of waking up, and she has no idea what's going on. So she's very confused. She wakes up her husband. He's very confused. He doesn't actually believe his wife, but finally the butler confirms that yes, there's a body in the library. So they call the police. They call the police early in the morning. He's still asleep, but he wakes up and he says, okay, we'll send someone over. Then Mrs. Bantry calls her friend Miss Marple. Now, it's early in the morning, so Miss Marple's not prepared to get a phone call. It's like 8 a.m. and shocks her awake. Or she's already awake, but shocks her. And she thinks, you know what? No one in my town, no one who knows me would call me, be this rude to call me this early. It must be a stranger. It must be the wrong number. She answers it, and it's Mrs. Bantry, telling Miss Marple that there's a body, it's exciting, she needs her friend to come over and help her solve the mystery, right? She wants to be part of the action. So Miss Marple goes to the Bantry house. She goes in there, and Mrs. Bantry takes her to the library. There's a officer there, a policeman, who's blocking the door. But Mrs. Bantry says, let us in there, it's my library. And he allows them to go in. They don't touch anything, but Mrs. Marple looks around, and they see this beautiful young woman who has a lot of makeup on. She has like a really unique haircut. She has like a party dress on. And this is kind of interesting, especially for this part of the town where it's very quiet and calm. They don't have parties like this. But they get a chance to see the girl before the other conductor and detective come in. So now the chief constable, Colonel Metrel or something like that, I can't quite remember, and then Detective Slack. They come in, they notice Miss Marple, and they say like, oh, Miss Marple, she discovered the murder last time, but that's because it was here in her own village. This time, we'll get it. She's not gonna be any use. As the girls are talking, Mrs. Bantry's like, come on, Miss Marple, what is it? Come on, tell me, don't you already know? Miss Marple's thinking, she's thinking. It's like, I don't know, but the only person that has parties like the kind that this girl went to is Baisley Blake. And then in the same turn, the officers are talking with Mr. Bantry, and they're saying they're a little suspicious. Mr. Bantry, be honest with us. Now they're kind of friends, so they're like, you honestly don't know who this girl is. She's not like your girlfriend. She didn't try to sneak in. We don't think you killed her, but maybe someone killed her while she's coming in. But come on, you don't know this girl. And he gets kind of angry. He turns red. He's like, I've never seen this girl. How dare you? And then the chief constable kind of calms the detective and then say, hey, we get it. We just have to ask these questions. But as they're talking, Mr. Bantry also suggests that Basil Blake might have something to do with it, because he's the only person that throws parties in this part of town that this kind of girl would be like. So the two officers head over there. Now, the place where Mr. Blake lives is called the Period House by him and his fellows. It's called like Cutworth or Chantworth by the post office, and another name by other people. I just threw it in here as the Period House. Basil's there when the policemen come up, and he's already awake. He's very, very rude, very short and snappy, and the chief constable actually wants to kick him in his rear. But he doesn't. He tries to remain calm. While they're talking, a car stops. This beautiful young woman comes out. She's angry. She has an argument. How dare you leave me? And he says, I'll leave you whenever I feel like. You were kissing this Spanish girl. You were kissing this European guy. And they're kind of angry, and I'll leave when I want. And she says, and I'll stay when I want. He says, then you'll walk. So they're getting angry. And finally, Mr. Blake says, hey, look, officers, you see my girlfriend is here. The girl that you saw in the library is not mine. I think you're done here. You guys can go. And the officer really wants to kick him or grab him, but he says, okay. And they leave. And that is how chapter 1 and 2 finish. There are a lot of vocabulary words here. There's even more than this, so if you have any questions, please write them in the chat and I can answer them. But I didn't want to give you 100 vocabulary words. I'm not even sure how to pronounce this word. Irascible? Irascible looking. Well, irascible means like nervous. Okay. Maybe if you're playing with your hair, or he has a mustache, so he's always playing with his mustache. Looks nervous, edgy, irritable. Arouse. Arouse is like to awaken some emotion. So maybe you're getting out of bed. Oh, what? Right. So this arouses you. Grotesque. Grotesque is disgusting, ugly. They see this body of this girl, and her body's starting to change because she's been dead, and she looks disgusting. Culminate. Culminate is like come together to. So you have these, for example, our story, there's going to be some slow buildup, some slow information, and it's going to culminate. It's going to gather to a result, right? You can think of math. 1 + 1 culminates, for example, to 2, right? The end of the information builds up to. Hysterical is uncontrollable. You can have a hysterical laughter, or you can be hysterical, okay, meaning you lost your emotion, okay? So it's just uncontrol. If you think of Batman and Robin, maybe the Joker has a hysterical laughter. It's kind of uncontrolled, a little freaky. But oftentimes hysterical can be crying also. So it's not the kind of emotion, it's the power or degree of it, the uncontrollableness of it. Conjugal. This one is like, I'm trying to think here what would be a good description for it. Conjugal has something to do with like weddings, marriage. You could say like a conjugal relationship is that kind of special relationship that a husband and a wife have at nighttime. But it could also just be the way they talk to each other. So after a long time, maybe a husband and a wife don't have as much feeling and emotion in the relationship, and they kind of talk to each other in a way that married people do, that's kind of lost its politeness or its love. But it doesn't have to be like that. It could be romantic too, but it's just kind of this kind of like wedding marriage relationship. Faculties, your ability to think, your awareness, your skills as a human. Grumbling is like saying something beneath to yourself that's negative. I don't want to go to bed. Why do I always have to eat yucky food? Okay, so something like this. Why do I have to wake up and go solve a murder? All right. Reproachful. Reproach is to like push away. Okay. So I can't remember if they're talking about Mr. Basil at this point in time. He is very reproachful, meaning he the way he talks kind of hurts other people and makes them feel disgusted and they don't want to be near him. A few more words here. Oh, I'm all right here. Perplexity is complex, confusing. Erratic means random, not predictable. Eccentricities is like uniqueness, strangeness. If you know the singer-songwriter Elton John, Elton John is eccentric. He looks different than other singer-songwriters. Okay, he's eccentric, unique. Usually, people with a lot of money can afford to be different. A chauffeur is someone who drives a car for you. Crack up. Crack up is like in this time you don't want to show emotion a lot in England. There's a dead girl in the library. That is strange. I just won $1 million. Wonderful. Okay, there's no cracks or in your emotion, right? In your face, in your mask, there's nothing to show what you're really feeling. So crack up. Crack up could be a smile. I cracked up. I started to crack up laughing. My emotion started to come out. But it can also be mentally, like crack up. Your sanity, your mental health breaks. It cracks up. So in this case, I think it's talking about more mental health, but it can also be cracking your emotion. Shooed. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Go away, go away. This is shooed. Recalcitrant. Recalcitrant is like disobeying, not listening to authority, rebellious, unruly, not good. Gentry are the gentlemen. So think of this time, there are servants and there are the people that pay for the servants, right? The wealthy people are the gentry. So usually the gentry have a lot of power in society and can tell you what to do, even to a police officer. All right, so Mrs. Bantry says, "Get out of the way," and the police officer is like, "Well, gentry, rich people, always tell me what to do, so I should probably just do what this lady tells me to do." The last word, flamboyant. Again, kind of think of Elton John. Elton John's eccentricities are that his appearance is flamboyant. It's easily seen. It's kind of shocking to your eye. So this girl, maybe her hair is this bright color. We call it platinum blonde. Boom! Right? Which only happens when you kind of maybe change the color. The makeup is so strong it can kind of shock you, especially if most of the people you live around don't use makeup like that. Or the dress, they don't dress like that. So that is flamboyant. You can think of bright pink and feathers, okay, something like that. Or you can think of, if you know Elton John, maybe what he looks like, kind of flamboyant. All right. Discussion question: what would you do if you found a body in your home? And of course, please write your own discussion question. That is all the time that we have for today. But thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Club Preview. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.